everybody, so no dilly-dallying in this one. I'm just jumping right into my project for the next few weeks, which is my living room. I've had this way too large couch since I moved in here, and I decided that once I find a couch that's a better fit, I'm also going to take out the 90s ceiling panels because there is a beautiful old ceiling underneath, and then I'm also going to sand the floors before the new couch arrives. And I finally found a couch. The delivery date was set to just over a week from the purchase, so I am in a hurry to get stuff done. My uncle luckily came and got the huge couch, and I also want to switch out the coffee table for something more fitting for my style. I might have to end up building it myself though. I can't really find anything on Facebook Marketplace or anywhere else, so... This house has been a part of the lands owned by a very large manor that has been around since the 1500s and has been owned by some very renowned historical families. But this little farm was just a living quarters for workers who lived here and took care of cows and horses that were owned by the manor. And we think that this was maybe built around the 1920s or early 30s, but there's very little information about it, sadly. And then in the 40s and 50s, it was owned by a couple who ran the farm until it was sold back to the company that originally owned it, and they rented it out for a very long time before we eventually bought it. So a lot of different time periods have been collected in the house, and there's very little information about what part of the house has been built when and what is original. The latest renovations were done in the 90s, and that's mostly what I'm working to sort of undo, because I just don't think that the 90s style really fits the soul of a 100-year-old house like this, even though there's also parts that are probably from the 50s, like some of the windows, I think. Good Sunday morning. It is around 9 o'clock in the morning, which means that I am getting ready to go vote because it is the presidential election. That's how far I got last night. I don't know if you can see, but there's the very old log wall behind there. I'm really liking the room height I'm getting. The old ceiling might need a little more work than I anticipated, and then also the water pipes are running directly over the ceiling here right now. Not the smartest way to make them, so thanks to the previous renovators of this house for being a bit lazy and pulling them just between the old and new ceiling panels, so I'll have to figure out how to hide them, and then at some point we're going to get a plumber to redo them in a better way. But now I'm gonna go vote, and obviously I can't bring you with me because you can't film there, so I'll check back in with you later. Someone left a comment in a previous video asking if I could explain my fireplaces, why they are so big and so on. So I'm not sure if they were referring to a specific fireplace since I have many, but I'm going to explain these two in my kitchen and dining room area. So this one in my kitchen is a heat retaining fireplace, and that is exactly why it is so big. It's built with a lot of bricks and in a way where the heat from the fire will circulate and warm up the brick stones before exiting. So this whole clump of bricks will stay warm for up to 12 hours and work sort of like a radiator. And back in the day, these types of fireplaces were usually in the heart of the house, and if it got really cold, you could actually sleep on top of it to stay warm. I think it was my dad who told me that my grandfather actually used to sleep on top of these when he was a kid. And the way mine is built is sort of separate from the food making stove because it was built later, but there are a lot of different styles and types of heat retaining fireplaces like this one. And then this one is the one I cook on. Sometimes I do also use an electrical stove, but this is meant for cooking. So we have where you put the wood in, and then where you cook on the stove, and then also a oven here, down here. And this doesn't retain heat, but what it is really good for is quickly heating up a room because it has a very large area where it emits heat from. So if you are spending time in this dining room area, then it's a really good way to keep the room warm, in addition to, of course, cooking. This part up here, I'm actually not 100% sure what the purpose of it is. Hi, voiceover me jumping in real quick here to add what I meant to say also is that there are versions of this stove where it isn't bricked in like this, and it just stands on its own 2 feet, separate from the wall, so this isn't a necessary design for it to work, but it's one design. I'm not sure if it could have something to do with the cooking part, or if it's just sort of for the aesthetics. Yeah, if someone does know in the comments, share. I couldn't find any answers to this with a quick Google search, so I'm not sure.
Saa nyt nähdä sitten miten käynyt. Asetelma on hyvin samankaltainen. Ja tässä muistin virkistykseksi Ylen viimeisin kannatusmittaus. Yleisesti kannattaa sanoa, että mittauksia ei oikeastaan kannattaisi keskenään.
Some of you probably saw that I made a post a few days before this video comes up, telling you that I lost my drone. I believe it had some sort of malfunction and crashed. I didn't see what happened exactly, but based on the last known location and the flight data, it did end up in a small body of water, and I haven't been able to find it. So the drone was old, and so I wasn't too bummed about it. It was expected to happen eventually. But what I was kind of bummed about was losing the SD card in it. It also had a few clips on it of me taking out the rest of the ceiling here, so now you just have to watch me clean out the aftermath instead. Like someone said, it's just material, so it's replaceable, not that big of a deal, but of course when you're tight on money, it does kind of sting. And YouTube has also recently become a part of my income, and of course losing hours of work also sucks and adds to the stress. And somehow these things always ends up happening sort of at the same time. So just this week I've had some trouble with my car and I need to get it fixed as well, which is another huge expense. So all of this happening at the same time also made me feel a little overwhelmed. Everything is fine. The video will just be a tiny bit shorter because I lost a full day of working and filming while I was searching for the drone. So